Let's see what's going on out here tonight. I hear a furhead making noise. Look at that back there. He's working on something. Oh, he's got the exhaust pipe off the tractor. It's very nice. Alright. Well, everybody has been writing in and asking me when they saw this iMac G4 sitting around if I'd make a video about it. Well, who am I to deny that request? I guess I'll go ahead and take this thing inside, talk about it a little bit, and share my impressions. Because these are not my favorite Apple product. In fact, I really don't care for them at all. So I'm going to go ahead and take this in and talk about it in a little more depth. Alrighty, so here it is, the iMac G4 that everybody's been wanting to see a video about, or almost everybody anyway. Well, I guess we'll start with the display panel. Unlike the previous iMacs, and of course the eMac, to which this thing could be most closely compared, this thing has a flat panel display. And this, you know, the flat panel display is kind of nice, but it seems like they dim pretty rapidly over time, and even with the brightness on these things maxed out, they're not terribly bright at the best of times. Of course, these things came from my place of work, and I was instructed to get rid of them after they were retired, so that's exactly what I did. And that means they were usually doing at least an 8-hour day, 5 or 6 days a week, depending on. So the other thing that you can do here with this display, which is to some an improvement over the old CRT iMacs and the eMac, although I think there might have been a stand marketed for the eMac that let you have some ability to move it around. But this metal arm here actually lets you tilt the display up and down and move it back and forth. And I guess some people would really like that feature. I'm not opposed to it, but I think the implementation just plain kind of looks goofy. But there's the flat panel display. And then of course in the bulb down here, that's where the actual computer is. As you can see, this one has a 700 megahertz G4 processor, a CDRW drive, 1 gigabyte of memory, and a 40 gigabyte hard drive. Anyway, the whole working parts of the computer, the motherboard, the hard drive, the optical drive, the power supply, everything is in here. And there is a fan in here, although it's probably not strictly necessary because these, especially the slower machines, just don't get all that hot in operation. But Apple did put a fan in there. And it is a thermally controlled fan, i.e. it will speed up if the machine starts to get hotter than normal. Had a couple of these apart. They're not too terribly bad to take apart as long as you've got a decent selection of Torx drivers and you're careful with all the shielding material and tape, some of which is sharp, because I've had to replace hard drives in some of these when they've gone bad. Basically, biggest things to watch out for, the shielding material, the tape, also the wires, because you can end up pinching off a wire, especially if you've got a machine that's equipped with AirPort, which this one is not. AirPort, of course, being Apple's name for Wi-Fi technology. And I think these machines were just new enough that they might have been offered with G Revision AirPort Wireless G 802.11g, but I don't know that for sure. I do know that the wireless cards for these, if you don't have one, they tend to fetch a pretty penny most of the time. So anyway, why don't I like these machines that well? Well, part of it's the design. The design of these things just really does not appeal to me that much at all. But more of it is in the performance of the computer. You see, I could forgive a computer that didn't look very good if it performed well, because looks aren't really all that important to me in a computer. And there can be no doubt that these machines do process faster than the G3 iMacs, which came before them, and of course any software that's written to take advantage of the G4's Velocity engine or AltiVec will run even faster still. But the thing that these machines really seem to have a lot of trouble measuring up to, in particular with regards to Ethernet performance, was the benchmark that was set by the previous generation colorful G3 iMacs. I can say without a great deal of hesitation, because I actually pulled down some hard and fast benchmark numbers, that while these things were faster in terms of processor and video speed, they pretty much failed to hit the numbers out of the disk subsystem and the Ethernet subsystem, as well as FireWire. Of course, the USB on these is low speed up until you get to the 17-inch or larger 1.25 gigahertz models. The 700 and 800 megahertz models only have USB 1.1 support. They don't have USB 2.0, and of course, there is no way to add it. But as far as I/O performance goes, the colorful iMac G3s, if you can believe it, would beat these machines every time. And it was such a big difference that even if you didn't run benchmarks, you could still perceive that when the G3 wasn't waiting for its processor to do something, when it wasn't busy with a processor-intensive task, it was simply capable of getting the data to where it belonged faster, which seems very ironic because, all things considered, the G4 machines ought to be faster. But really, it's the styling of these things, their lackluster performance, and their kind of crappy dim display panel that really kind of turned me off to them. And so every one of these things, I'll probably keep behind one of the nicer ones for myself. There's one around here someplace with a DVD burner that I'm probably going to hold back. But all the rest of these, as I have time to package and ship them and do things like that, I am selling these off. So they're going to be leaving my possession. And I believe that YouTube user Random Razor was actually sort of interested in this one, and this is the last one that I have that's looking for a home. The other one besides it is the one that I'm keeping for myself because it actually has a DVD burner in it. Same speed processor, same amount of memory, same hard drive capacity, just that for some reason or another it ended up with a DVD burner in it. There's also a 17-incher with a 1.25 gigahertz processor, but it's got a bad power supply board in it, so I don't know what's going to become of that one. I may part it out and sell it as bits and pieces or something like that. It's hard to say. But anyway, that's the story on these things. You folks asked me to make a video. I would power this thing up and run it for you, but I cannot find a power cord for it right now, so sorry about that, but I can't give you a power-on demonstration. Also, I wiped the disk in these things for security reasons, and so unless I was to go over here to my beloved Mac Mini, which you can't see behind the My Bookshelf, and of course that extremely hazardous outlet strip, which you should be ignoring, because I was just testing a printer with that, and we'll be removing it soon. I could put the Mac Mini in target disk mode, but like I say, I can't find the power cable for this machine, so there's really no point in doing that. Anyway, there you have it, an iMac G4 video. Try to get this thing pointing the right way around here so you can see it. Thank you for watching, and if you have a comment, feel free to leave one below.